Judges are typically the most intimidating people in court, but to leave a judge in tears is pretty rare, as they literally see it all. And that's today's topic, so let's get into it. First, we have the case of Tara Grinstead. Bo Dukes, the man who killed and burned the beauty queen back in 2005, had committed a crime so gruesome that it brought the judge to tears when handing down the maximum sentence.
Whether you remembered your conversation with John McCullough or not, you certainly remembered burning the body. And that would have been the time to, to come forward and say, let me tell you what I did. I've sinned, and I'm asking for forgiveness. That would have been the time. I think it's Romans 3:23 says, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. We all have. But that would have been the time to come forward. When you were asked about it in June of 2016. I don't take any pleasure out of sentencing anyone, but that's a part of my job. And if you'll stand, I'm going to sentence you in this case. Case number 2017 CRW 038. The court's going to sentence you on count 1 to a period of 5 years to serve in the state penitentiary. On count 2, the court's going to sentence you to 5 years to serve in the state penitentiary consecutive to count 1. And on count 3, the court's going to sentence you to 5 years consecutive to count 2 to serve in the state penitentiary.
Next, we have the day a drunk driver was receiving his sentence for killing both a mother and her daughter.
I didn't know the family, had no connection, but I've seen too many of these cases, and I've seen too many people suffer from drunk driving.
Judge William Atkinson was in tears as he sentenced David Meyer to 10 years in prison. Authorities say Meyer was driving drunk when he hit and killed a mother and daughter, Rebecca and Rayleigh Pennenberg. The two were walking along a Lawrence road in August of last year.
I recognize the pain. I can only imagine if my wife, my daughter, did not come home one night.
Meyer apologizing in court, saying he thinks every day about the victims.
There's nothing I can say that's going to ease their pain. There's no words I can say to give them any peace.
Authorities say Meyer's blood alcohol content was 0.22, nearly 3 times the legal limit. He says he can't change what happened. If he can, he'd like to help keep other people from drinking and driving.
I've been and will continue to give people the understanding of what it means to drink and drive. I continue to tell everyone I meet that when you drink, the first thing you lose is your judgment.
The victim's family declined to comment on Meyer's sentence.
Now for the time a senator brought a judge to tears by praising all of her achievements.
You left there and you went to private practice, and you know what you found? This is what you told me. That you had those tough choices that working moms have to make, the demands of a private law firm, raising your kids. It just didn't add up. You went before this Senate 3 times in a bipartisan manner. God bless America. We don't do that much stuff bipartisan around here. You went to become a public defender because you wanted to understand all aspects of the law. Who does that? We live in a society that's very materialistic sometimes, very, very consumeristic. You went into, do people become public defenders for the money? No. Your family and you speak to service, service, service. And I'm telling you right now, I'm not letting anybody in the Senate steal my joy. I told you this at the beginning. I'm embarrassed. It happened earlier today. I just look at you and I start getting full of emotion. I'm jogging this morning, and I'm at the end of the block I live on. And I get terrified because I put my music on loud when I'm jogging, trying to block out the noise of the heart attack I'm having. And this woman comes up on me, practically tackles me, an African-American woman. And the look on her eyes, she just wanted to touch me, because I'm sitting so close to you, and tell me what it meant to her to watch you sitting where you're sitting. And you did not get there because of some left-wing agenda. You didn't get here because of some dark money groups. You got here how every black woman in America who's gotten anywhere has done, by being, like Ginger Rogers said, I did everything Fred Astaire did, but backwards in heels.
Next, we have the time a judge brought herself to tears. That's how heinous the crime was. The convicts refused to confess that they murdered their child, but all the evidence pointed towards them.
The other thing that this case I think really drives home is that there's insufficient consideration given to the people that work in the criminal justice system. So I want to say to the police, to the detectives Remington and Diaz, I certainly know that your job is very difficult. And I look at these photographs, and it's very hard. And I think you should be recognized more for the difficulty of what you do. And the same to the state. And to the defense, this is equally difficult for you. What we do every day is so hard. People don't give any of us the credit that we deserve for dealing with the horrors that are brought before us. And Mr. Rodriguez, this is a horror. I know as a judge I'm not supposed to show emotion. And in 22 years I never have. This is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. And I don't understand, Mr. Rodriguez, why you don't want to cleanse yourself and tell the truth about what happened here. And I hope someday you do. Whatever this child's life was supposed to be, you make sure it didn't happen. You and Larissa. I look at friends and family, people who are desperate to have children and want to have families, and you two have babies with no consideration. You just keep having them, disregarding the value of their life, disregarding their purpose in life, like they're less than an object. No regard.
Up next, we have the time a father of a victim took the stand and brought the judge to tears. Here's how it went.
I blame the devil who misguiding you and misleading you to do such a horrible crime. No, I don't blame you. I'm not angry at you at all.
Relford was sentenced to 31 years for his role in the killing of Salahuddin Jitmood. Officials say Relford came up with a plan to rob the pizza delivery driver. Jitmood was stabbed to death at an apartment on Trent Circle in April of 2015.
I forgive you on behalf of Salahuddin and his mother on the act of involving to kill him.
The judge, also overcome with emotion, called for a recess.
Dr. Jitmood did ask Relford to tell him who killed his son, a moment that brought Judge Kim Bonnell to tears.
I think this may be a good time to take a break. Thank you.
Relford's mother said she had sent her son to Lexington to get away from violence in Atlanta. She said the forgiveness of Jitmood's family had been a blessing.
His forgiveness was definitely a blessing. The defendant was in tears too. After the hearing was done, this is what the father had to say on why he forgave the convict.
If I, as a father, fail to forgive a person, Islam teaches that God will not be able to forgive that person because he owed to me and Salahuddin and his family. Now Salahuddin family open heart wholeheartedly forgive him. Now the door opportunity for God to forgive him is open. It's up to God, because God said in the Holy Quran, Wallahu Ghafurur Rahim. Allah, Almighty God, is the most forgiving and the most merciful. Now I said, my nephew, God gonna forgive you, because He promised in this word, He's the most forgiving, the most merciful, provided I forgive you first. So I did forgive you. So now God turned to forgive you. So reach out to Him. I want him to reach out to God. You have a new chapter of good life coming. When you come out from your confinement, do righteous deed, because your righteous deed gonna lead to the path of truth, lead back to God Almighty, that will reunite you and Salahuddin in paradise.
Up next, we have the time Darrell Brooks was in court for his trial, but towards the end of it, the judge was brought to tears.
We know just past Barstow, he strikes his first victim, Nicole White. She was with RE/MAX Services with the hot air balloon. If anyone's seen that, we saw it in the video, that is unmistakable what that is. That would get anyone's attention. If this was a mistake, if he was lost, this was his very first opportunity to stop and do the right thing after causing injury to a person. But he didn't. He did not stop. And then, of course, the Walkers to South Band. It's hard not to think about what I watched and not have this reaction. Those were images that frankly kept me up at night, that I saw over and over and over. For their band director, she is a hero to me, to get up on the stand, to talk about, and that was Sarah Waymeyer Aparicio, to identify each one of her students, talk about their formation, talk about what she saw. So strong for all of you. Mr. Brooks had another opportunity to stop. This wasn't one isolated person that he could claim, I didn't know I struck someone. This was driving over people. What Kyle Jewell described as the SUV went over people like they were big, old speed bumps.
Now for the time a victim had addressed the defendant in court. She gave a heartwarming explanation of forgiveness and why she was forgiving her. The court was excused soon after.
I am a strong person. I'll keep fighting. But what happened to me should never happen in the state of Minnesota. It shouldn't happen to anybody just because you're different. And I hope that if I could ask you if I can talk to the defendant, would that be okay?
Sure.
Jody, what you did to me that day wasn't good. You should never do anything like that to anybody. But I just wanted to tell you in front of everybody today that I do forgive you. My religion teaches me to forgive so I can move on with my life. If I hold a grudge and I hold the hate you hold towards me against you, it's not going to serve me well. So in front of everybody here, I do forgive you, and I hope that you choose love over hate. I really do, because it makes your life easier. Having hate just eats at you. It's not good. I hope you find what you're looking for, and I hope at the end of this journey, I know you've had just as long as a year that I have had, and my intention for you is not bad. I don't have any ill feelings towards you. I just want you to, at the end of all this, to understand that we're all the same. It doesn't matter what's on my head. It doesn't matter the color of my skin. We're all the same human beings. We're fighting for the same rights. I'm an American citizen and I fight for this country today. I would fight for it as much as you would.